Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on what I like to call the hidden plumbing of the global financial markets. We're going to explore a mechanism that impacts pretty much every single investor out there, yet it happens completely behind the scenes. We're talking about the mechanics of the ex-dividend date. Now, this isn't just about when a company says, hey, we're paying a payout. No, this is about the highly structured and, frankly, totally fascinating operational race that dictates exactly who gets paid. So picture this scenario. You're watching a stock you own, the company is solid, the broader market is steady, and then suddenly, right at the opening bell, the price just drops. And you're frantically checking the headlines, right? But there is absolutely no bad news, no disastrous earnings report, no scandal, nothing. To a casual observer, this looks like an instantaneous, totally arbitrary loss of money. It's an alarming thing to witness if you don't know what's actually happening under the hood. But here is the secret. That price didn't just fall randomly. If the company recently announced it was paying, say, a $2 dividend to its shareholders, the stock price will typically drop by roughly that exact $2 the very moment the market opens on a specific day. The market literally subtracts the value of that upcoming dividend directly from the share price. Now, let's totally reframe this event. This drop, it is absolutely not a loss for you as an investor. For the folks working in global financial operations, this moment is essentially the market's clock striking midnight. It's a dramatic, highly choreographed legal transition into what we know as the ex-dividend date. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding exactly what this date represents. The ex-dividend date is arguably the most critical milestone in any investor's calendar. It is the absolute legal cutoff. When that clock strikes midnight and the ex-date officially begins, a line is drawn in the sand. And that line determines, with ruthless efficiency, exactly who is entitled to receive the company's cash payment and who is going to be left completely empty-handed. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the concert ticket analogy. To make the mechanics of dividend entitlement incredibly easy to grasp, let's just strip away all the Wall Street jargon for a second and use a simple, real-world analogy. Think of the ex-date as a concert ticket deadline. Imagine your favorite band announces that everyone who buys a concert ticket by Friday gets a free backstage pass. If you buy your ticket on Thursday, so before the deadline, you are buying it cum pass. Cum is just the Latin word for with. You get the ticket to the show, and you get the prize. But if you wait until Saturday, you're buying it ex pass, meaning without. You still get to see the show, but that highly coveted backstage pass stays with the previous owner. In the stock market, the stock itself is the show, and the dividend is that backstage pass. Moving right along to Section 2, the math of detaching value. So understanding that deadline is great, but why does the stock market actually feel the need to physically subtract this value from the share price in real time? Well, before the X date arrives, the stock price is artificially inflated. It holds the value of the company plus the value of the upcoming cash dividend. But the very moment the X date hits, that dividend value is legally detached from the share. Because that value has literally been severed, the market has to rebalance itself. It automatically adjusts the share price downward to reflect the new reality of what that specific, newly detached share is actually worth. It really all comes down to pure fairness. The new buyer purchasing the stock on the X date is buying an X-Pass ticket, remember? They are no longer getting that cash dividend. Therefore, it makes zero logical sense for them to pay for it. The price instantly drops to make the transaction completely fair for the new buyer, who just missed the cutoff. Next up, Section 3, solving the paperwork lag. You see, the market isn't truly instantaneous. Behind all those flashing lights on trading screens, there's a massive back-office operation with an inherent, totally unavoidable delay when a trade occurs. When you click buy on your screen, you don't instantly own the stock on the company's official books. In most global markets, it takes 2 or 3 days for the paperwork to physically clear. We call this a T+2 or T+3 settlement cycle. If we visually map this out, you've got your trade date, but it takes actual days for the trade to settle. Because of this lag, the X date absolutely has to happen before the final list of owners is tallied up. And that final tally, that's called the record date. The record date is the absolute final registry on the company's official registrar books. This is the master list of who officially owns the stock and who actually gets the physical check mailed to them. The X date is intentionally set just before the record date, entirely to account for that paperwork lag. It ensures that only the people who bought early enough to actually clear settlement and get officially on the books by the record date receive the payment. This structured, frankly unyielding timeline is the market's way of ensuring fairness and absolute transparency. Without the X-date price adjustment and this strict settlement timeline, people could easily game the system. Think about it. They could buy a stock 1 minute before the record date, collect the dividend, and then just sell it 1 minute after for a completely free, riskless profit. The X-date mechanics make that impossible. Now for Section 4, fixing entitlement errors. So what happens when the system actually breaks down? Let's pivot to the high-stakes reality of something called entitlement risk, because sometimes that critical paperwork we just talked about doesn't clear in time. Imagine this exact scenario. You buy a stock on Wednesday well before the X date. You bought it cum dividend. You happily paid the higher inflated price because you are legally entitled to that dividend cash. But then an error happens in the back office, and your trade fails to settle on time. When the record date arrives, your name isn't on the official books. When that paperwork fails, a whole chain reaction starts. Step 1. Because your name wasn't on the books, the seller's name accidentally stays on the registry, and the seller receives the dividend check by mistake. Step 2. This becomes a high-stakes sprint for back-office operations. Professional reconciliation teams have to immediately step in. And Step 3, they initiate what's known in the industry as a market claim, or a compensation. This is where the industry literally fixes the books behind the scenes. The operations teams have to go directly to the seller's broker, and the literal conversation is something like, hey, you received that cash, but you sold the stock at a price that explicitly included the dividend. That money actually belongs to the buyer. It is a constant, rigorous process of reconciling exactly who owned what at the exact microsecond the race hit the finish line. And finally, Section 5, the investor's defensive play. So how does all of this behind-the-scenes back-office plumbing actually help you? Well, applying this structural knowledge to your own portfolio can be a massive defensive play. Understanding the hidden math of the X-date truly empowers you. It allows you to time your entries and exits with absolute precision. For example, if you're looking to buy a stock and you know the X-date is tomorrow, you know to wait. Why? Because tomorrow the price is going to automatically drop, giving you a cheaper entry point. You avoid overpaying for a stock that's just about to detach its value. Ultimately, you ensure you get exactly what you paid for, whether that's the dividend cash itself or a newly discounted share price. Once you fully understand that a sudden price drop isn't a glitch, but rather the market rebalancing itself in this highly orchestrated dance of entitlements and settlement cycles, you can start trading with a totally different level of control. So, as you look at your own portfolio moving forward, I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you timing your trades with the X date in mind? Or are you leaving your hard-earned entitlements completely to chance?